Stephanie McMahon may rule over the women of the WWE when they're in the ring, but once they leave, she's no longer in control. She's done a lot to further the reputation of women in wrestling, but the controversies and scandals surrounding these ex-divas threaten to undo her hard work. We'll show you some of the shocking things Stephanie McMahon doesn't want you to know about ex-divas. Before we begin, be sure to hit the subscribe button and then the gray bell to join our notification squad. Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler. Stephanie McMahon has put in a lot of effort to get women in the WWE viewed as more than just sex objects. But some girls miss the old way. Tori Wilson has admitted that she was never a fan of wrestling and viewed it more as a platform for exposure. She loved showing off her good looks, but she wasn't as much of a fan of showing off her moves in the ring. Tori's close friend and fellow diva, Stacy Keibler, was in a similar boat. She had hoped to be a pretty face in front of cameras, but used her brains backstage instead of her fists in the ring. The girls admitted that the more they learned about wrestling, the less they disliked it, but their first love and greatest joy was posing for the cameras, not slamming each other through tables. There are even some rumors that WWE officials tried to prevent Tori and Stacy from taking too many outside gigs, for fear that they would never return to the WWE after they got what they were really hoping for, fame. Once they left the WWE, these two women definitely didn't look back. Lita. There are some people that just excel at being heels, and then there are some people who find the constant hatred and jeering kinda tiresome. Amy Dumas, best known as Lita, played the heel girlfriend of Adam Edge Copeland. Sometimes art imitates life, and so the WWE built up a storyline about the real-life love triangle between Lita, Matt Hardy, and Edge. The drama played out on stage with Lita cheating on Matt Hardy and leaving him for Edge, which is the same way it happened behind the scenes as well. Needless to say, this caused her to gain the ire of both fans and her fellow WWE stars. With no place to retreat from the constant rude statements and cold shoulders, Lita grew depressed, and her last few years at the WWE were miserable. According to Lita, she struggled to eat or sleep during this time, and her treatment was so bad it caused her to leave the WWE for good. The fact that a talented diva, who was both talented and revolutionary for the time period, could be so tormented is pretty shameful for Stephanie McMahon and the WWE. AJ Lee. This is one incident that we're guessing Stephanie McMahon wishes everyone would just forget. While she's received many accolades over the course of her career, she was once called out rather publicly by former diva AJ Lee. The incident started when McMahon tweeted an agreement about Patricia Arquette's speech talking about women's rights in America. This caused AJ to lash out via Twitter, accusing McMahon of being a hypocrite who only pretends to care about women's rights. She pointed out that female wrestlers bring in tons of profit through their merchandise and have starred in some of the highest rated segments of WWE history. Then she demanded to know why these women receive a fraction of their male counterparts' airtime and wages. AJ's disdain for Stephanie McMahon was well known, and a huge reason why she left the WWE in the first place. But this very public call-out on a very public platform had to be embarrassing for McMahon. She essentially shot down her whole platform about equality in wrestling and painted her as an armchair warrior and a hypocrite. Ouch. Despite this, McMahon tried to keep it classy and simply responded that she appreciated AJ's opinion. Sonny Sitch. What's the most cringeworthy part of Tammy Sonny Sitch's career for Stephanie McMahon? Literally all of it, since her drama, scandals, and general train wreck represents so much of what McMahon has spoken out against. She was so out of control that after being arrested 5 times in a mere 4 weeks, the WWE decided they could no longer pay for her stints in rehab. Sure, she was gorgeous and charismatic, but that can only take you so far, even in wrestling. Fans were disgusted when it came out that she had cheated on her high school sweetheart and the man who introduced her to wrestling, Chris Candido. Her brazen affair with Shawn Michaels didn't stay hidden for long, since the couple decided that the WWE locker room was a perfect place for a hookup. Behind the scenes, when she wasn't having a hookup or being locked up, she would pose for adult websites, much to the dismay of the WWE. Reportedly, she was a nightmare to work with and was truly a diva outside the ring as well as in it. She was known for being fashionably late, dive behavior, and outrageously high expense reports. Christy Hemme. Christy Hemme's career with the WWE got off to an incredible start. Even before she stepped foot into the ring, she was already a fan favorite after winning the 2004 WWE Divas Search. In addition to the $250,000 in prize money, she also won a one-year contract with the WWE. She came out swinging as a member of the Raw roster, quickly starting up a good old-fashioned feud against Carmella de Caesar, the runner-up of Divas Search. Fans were shocked in 2005 when the WWE suddenly released Christy from her contract, and many wondered why the abrupt change of heart. Now, this may only be a rumor, but it's a pretty scandalous one. It's claimed that Christy was spotted acting inappropriately with Stephanie McMahon's husband, Triple H. Needless to say, McMahon wasn't thrilled with this and the rumors that the two were having an affair. Initially, Christy gave a vague answer about budget cuts as reason for her dismissal. Later on, she would be much more cryptic, claiming that she left on her own terms because of her morals and values and her refusal to compromise to get ahead. Trivia time! There was once a time where WWE girls were chosen for their beauty rather than their brains and athleticism. Although this current superstar was interested in the WWE at a young age, she took a brief detour to the ring and did some regrettable modeling for Hooters. Who was it? Keep watching for the answer. Sable. Since she signed on with the WWE in 1996, Sable is one of the first WWE divas ever to exist, and she was a fan favorite at the start. Even when the male wrestlers were battling it out, fans would still cheer for Sable. When it seemed as if Sable couldn't be any more well-loved by her fans, she became a heel before abruptly leaving the WWE. Not only that, but she shocked everyone by turning around and slapping the WWE with a $100 million lawsuit for sexual harassment. The lawsuit covered a wide variety of charges. Some were more run-of-the-mill allegations that sadly weren't very surprising considering the nature of her work, including wanting her to play up her relationships with other women and unsafe working conditions. Others were a bit more damning, including instances of sexual harassment. Vince McMahon filed his own lawsuit over the use of her stage name, and the two managed to settle out of court. Not only that, but Sable returned to the WWE, becoming Vince McMahon's onstage mistress and rival to his daughter Stephanie McMahon. The lawsuit is an awkward thing that Sable and the McMahons just don't talk about. Dawn Marie. Here we have another former diva who made waves with a surprising and embarrassing lawsuit against the WWE. After leaving ECW, Dawn Marie found a great deal of success as Tori Wilson's top rival, and the pair were the only female feud in SmackDown for quite a while. When she wasn't wrestling, she was taking college and acting classes, hoping to have a career outside of the WWE, a goal that you would think Stephanie McMahon would support. Of course, getting pregnant threw quite the wrench into Dawn's wrestling career, but instead of finding her another job to do backstage or placing her on maternity leave until the baby was born, the WWE promptly terminated her. But Dawn really wasn't done fighting, and she turned around and sued the WWE for wrongful termination. Her firing was especially shameful since other women in the WWE, including Maryse and Maria Kanellis, were allowed to work while being pregnant. Dawn and the WWE managed to settle the case outside of the courtroom. Many of her fellow wrestlers, including Charlie Haas, agree that her termination was unjust and there was no reason not to place her on maternity leave until her child was born. Taryn Terrell. Sometimes love and wrestling just don't mix, as many cases in this video prove. In 2007, Terrell was eliminated from the WWE Diva Search, but in 2008, she was signed into the WWE anyways using the stage name Tiffany. She then became engaged to Drew Galloway, better known on-screen as Drew McIntyre, and the couple were married in Las Vegas, which is always a great beginning to married life. People grew concerned about the union, as Taryn wasn't shy about criticizing the WWE, which seemed like a bad career move for both herself and her husband. In addition to using social media to badmouth her employer, she also claimed that her husband was cheating on her shortly before she was arrested for domestic abuse. This ugliness led to both a divorce from her husband and from the WWE. Awkwardly enough, Taryn now works for GFW while McIntyre works for the WWE, and we're guessing that Stephanie McMahon isn't the only one who would prefer to forget about all the drama between the two former partners. Gail Kim. Some people may be intimidated by Stephanie McMahon and her father, Vince McMahon, but Gail Kim is definitely not one of them. She's gone toe-to-toe with this father-daughter combo more than once, and she definitely wasn't pulling any punches. Gail accused Vince McMahon of being sexist and not wanting women's wrestling to succeed. She claimed that he had scores of talented women at his disposal and chose to downplay their talents to keep them from succeeding. When Stephanie McMahon tried to claim credit for advancements in women's wrestling, Gail commented that Impact Wrestling deserved the credit. And Gail has many fans on her side, since it's clear she has the talent, but was always grossly underutilized during her time with the WWE. It was clear that the company chose not to invest in her, and that would be enough to piss off anyone, especially someone so talented and passionate about wrestling. Jim Ross once claimed that it was her ethnicity that made Vince see her as not marketable enough, and this has been enough for Gail to claim she'll never work for the WWE again. Not only is their sexism and racism embarrassing, but so is their bad business investment by missing out on someone who many consider one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time. Terri Runnels. Since the WWE has an ugly history of treating its female performers badly, it's sadly not surprising that sometimes its male performers follow suit. At one time, Terri Runnels managed her then-husband's career, and she ensured the success of Dustin Runnels, better known as Goldust. With her hosting and interviewing duties, other management commitments, and her own performances to worry about, it's safe to say that Terri had her hands full for the 8 years she worked with the WWE. After the end of her marriage and several other romantic endeavors, she ended up dating ECW legend New Jack. The pair baffled a lot of people and unsurprisingly didn't last long. But the aftermath of the breakup was particularly ugly. New Jack claimed all sorts of horrible things, including that Terri had STDs, money troubles, and a drug problem. He also began distributing scandalous photos of Terri, causing her to take legal action to stop him. This litigious and slanderous drama reflected badly on the WWE, and it's definitely something Stephanie McMahon would not want to be associated with in any way. Which current WWE superstar and longtime WWE fan has